Hi, I'm LeMasurier. I work for the City of Eugene, Oregon, where we are working to become a human rights city. I work in the City Manager's office. I am the Human Rights Analyst, a staff member of the Equity and Human Rights Center, and a staff of the Human Rights Commission. The City of Eugene has benefited for over 40 years from a very robust Human Rights Commission and its spin-off projects and leadership development, immersing our community in international human rights standards and concepts for several decades. The community also has a very strong community coalition for advancement of human rights made up of local NGOs and community-based organizations focused on human rights and social justice work. The City of Eugene also recently developed a 5-year diversity and equity strategic plan with a human rights framework as one of its main infrastructural elements. Some outcomes of this plan will be increased training on and reporting of human rights standards, as well as consideration of social equity and accessibility issues in all of our programming and policies. The city created a city-staffed equity and human rights board, which works closely on its projects with the Community Coalition and the Human Rights Commission. Some of the first couple of projects that have emerged from this partnership has been the creation of a bias and hate incident response plan, an annual public forum reporting on the state of equity and human rights in Eugene, and very successful, amazing Human Rights Summit where over 200 people attended and 50 partners were represented and covered broad breadth and depth of human rights issues, everything from economic justice, access to health care, workers' rights, immigrant justice, provided workshops and training for our community members. It was a very successful event called Bringing Human Rights Home, the Human Rights Summit. It is critical that we support monitoring and reporting of U.S. compliance with international human rights standards and any other coalition reports in any ways that we can. The reports reflect our intention, our collaboration, our coordination, and raise significant awareness of our priority targets and our targeted interventions. We need to assess and understand where we are and also help others understand where we're trying to get, and reporting helps this. Telling others the story of our work will continually shed more and more light on the complex and dynamic problems of social equity and justice in the United States, and perhaps could attract new resources. We need to know the dimensions of the challenges we are addressing and measure how our work is making a positive impact, so that we know that we're spending our resources and our energies and our talents in ways that are making a difference. If your agency can dedicate a staff resource or identify an intern to work with your organization or a volunteer to work on reporting, it is important. IAOHRA members gain a lot from reporting on the work that we are doing in our communities, and I look forward to learning more about the members' activities and the resources to gain by joining the forum. When our members highlight their policy and program solutions, as well as small-scale grassroots micro-projects that achieve results, others can then utilize these models. For our community, it's more challenging to bring in huge projects and programs that require a lot of investment and fiscal resource. In some ways, a lot of the smaller micro-projects are a lot more successful or easier to accomplish for us. It would be great if, as we improve our reporting and sharing our ideas, if we could attract more fiscal resources, however, to address our needs. I look forward to being a member of the forum, focused on the solutions and supporting each other and sharing resources. We have everything to gain by sharing our resources and experience with the federal government. Developing a clearer and more concise picture of our country's conditions and its people's challenges is work that will never be accomplished, it seems. Our data and perspectives are essential to telling the story of America. The U.S. government benefits from our agency's monitoring of social conditions and monitoring relationships and dynamics in communities, as well as our advocacy and implementation of equitable and safe standards at the local and state level. We know that very successful and sustainable projects can grow out of even one person's experience or a local group's, small group's response to a specific problem. Many of these projects are the result of some very limited and very locally focused investment, and some of the great successes are based entirely on coordinating volunteer resources and donations and require very little financial capital. In some cases, we have developed very doable solutions, but our successes are isolated in our communities or among constituent groups. By sharing our data and solutions with the U.S. government, perhaps they could play a role in more widely publishing and distributing our resources and the toolkits we have developed, and provide these resources to places that may not otherwise have access to these assets or have strategic plans on how to address some of their challenges. The work the City of Eugene is doing to implement the Human Rights Framework focuses on respecting, protecting, and fulfilling human rights as our vision, and in our action we are promoting and advocating for human rights and equity.